Hello friends and welcome back. Today we will learn what aperture is and what it does. Let's call it the second side of the exposure triangle. It is also known as the f-stop, and the F stands for focal. Take it as the windows of the lens that lets a certain amount of light in. Just like when you need less light in the room, you open the window slightly. But when you need a room full of lights, you open the windows wide open. In the camera also, you decide how much aperture you want to open to let the light in. This is how the aperture appears in the lens. Your camera may have manual or digital adjustment of aperture values. And don't look for aperture settings in your smartphone camera. You will not find them because your smartphone has a fixed aperture, and in today's technology, it is not possible to change the aperture in your smartphone. The standard aperture values, the f-stop begins from f1.4 and may go up to f22 in most cases. It can also start at 1.2 and even go higher than f22 on a high-end camera. We will discuss that later in the demonstration section. If the aperture value is high, it means that the aperture is closed, and if the aperture value is low, it means the aperture window is wide open. Just like windows, if the aperture window is open slightly, it will let less light in. And if the aperture window is open wide, the image sensor will get more light to capture an image. So aperture controls the area through which the light can enter the lens and reach the image sensor. Another comparison is with the human eye. The aperture works like the pupil in our eyes. If there is a lot of light, our eye pupil becomes smaller, and if there is less light, the pupil becomes bigger. This is how our brain captures an image. When light hits our eyes focus the way a camera lens does in the auto mode. The pupil in the eye makes some adjustment, and this is how we see the images sharp and clear. Imagine when you come out in bright light, everything becomes white and you cannot see anything for a couple of seconds. That is because it takes some time for eyes to adjust and process the images. And after a few seconds, you start seeing everything clearly. In your camera, it is measured as f1.4, f2, f2.8, f4 and f.6 and so on. Aperture is also responsible for blurred background in your images and videos. If you keep the aperture low, it will give you a more blurred background. And as you increase the aperture value, it will decrease the blurriness in the background. And if you keep increasing the aperture value, at some time you will have no background blur and you will see everything clearly in the image. The blur in the background is called shallow depth of field, means blurred background, and deep depth of field means no background blur and everything is clear. We will discuss the depth of field in more detail in a separate chapter, because this is one of the standard cinematic effects which everybody likes. So understanding it and using it is more important to get the cinematic effect. We can also get the bokeh effect by adjusting the aperture, and we all love it. Let me tell you what the bokeh is. Most people get confused with bokeh as the blurred background. Well, it is not just the blurred background. Bokeh is the shape of lights we see in the background, and it adds so much value to the image. You can also get the bokeh in forefront of your object, and I'm confident that soon you will start taking those amazing images with bokeh. Just hang in there and have patience. In your camera, it appears as F number in all cameras except cinema cameras, where it appears as T-stop. It depends on the camera quality. Not all lenses can offer the same aperture range. If the aperture value is low, let's say f1.4, it will keep the aperture window open wide even before you start shooting. So when you take an image or make a video, the aperture will let more light in, which results in keeping the set area in focus and blurring out everything. Zoom lens may have a variable aperture, which means the aperture value may dynamically change or stay static if you zoom in. I hope the aperture is clear to you, and even if it is not, do not worry. Just try to practice on your phone or camera and you will be a master soon. So that was all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow in a new lesson. Till then, good luck and have fun.